What is up, guys? Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Today, Sunday, October 29th. Welcome to week number 8 here. We got a lot of fun going on today. We'll hang out for the next half an hour or so. So if you guys do have sit questions, fire them up in the chat room. And then we're going to go over, all the player and actives, and we'll look at some weather and some things like that throughout the day. So come on in. Let's have a good morning here. Morning to David. He's asking for Bryce Young or Geno Smith. So, yeah, man, that matchup over in Seattle is not great. We're kind of expecting that to be a low-scoring game. I'm looking at the weather over there too. It's 51 and clear, so there's no weather to be concerned of in Seattle. So that is good news. Whereas in Carolina, they have 81 and clear, so that could be a nice, fun game. I think I'm going to avoid Geno Smith today. I'm going to go with Bryce Young. Bryce Young actually. Before the bye week, I know they got kind of trounced by Detroit that 1 week, but Bryce Young has been putting up some decent fantasy scores. Every game that I'm seeing, he's been, it hasn't been a tragedy at least. So 18 points, 12 points the last 2 games here. I think I'm going to go with Bryce Young at home off a bye. Adam Thielen's healthy. Running backs are healthy. I think I'm going to go with Bryce Young here. Just feels a little bit safer there, David. Good morning to Chase. Saints, Dolphins, or Seahawks defense? I have Saints, but could pick up the other two. Could drop Gibson for either. Thoughts? So I'm not like super in love with Antonio Gibson. If you needed to drop him, I don't think I would be all that against it. So with that being said, I know a lot of people are playing all 3 of these defenses this weekend. The Dolphins were probably one of the hotter pickups of the week for defenses. And I do think, they're getting Jalen Ramsey back. I don't know how effective he's going to be in his first game back, but I do see the Dolphins as a top 10 defense. But I think I'm going to go with Seattle Seahawks here. They're at home. They're getting a Cleveland Browns team that we're not really excited about offensively. PJ Walker, they're not going to put up a ton of points. So I think I'm going to lean Seahawks here. You already have the Saints defense. Saints is an okay play today. It doesn't feel like a great play to me. They're on the road at Indy. I think I'm going to take the home team here and go with the Seahawks. And you can cut Gibson to do so. I might be cutting Gibson if he doesn't get traded in the next 2 days. I think I might be cutting Gibson in a couple of my 12-team leagues. Super flex. And Mahomes is ill. Do I chance it? Yeah, we're playing. No, we're playing Mahomes. No question about it, my man. Morning, Harris, and morning, Ryan. I'm going to get to some questions in a second here. I just want to hit refresh on some of my updates and see if any actives have come through. It does say, yeah, that's the one. Patrick Mahomes is dealing with an illness. He will play. Trevor Lawrence is active. Zach Moss is active. Michael Thomas active. He did pop up on the injury report yesterday with an illness. And then the one that I had been kind of watching loosely throughout the week was Curtis Samuel. He's active for week 8. Maybe we see Jahan Dotson have a nice game today with him dealing with an injury. And then we're seeing Justin Fields is on track to play next week. So that is good news there. Otherwise, not too many active inactives that I'm seeing coming through this morning. So it looks like we're okay today. Chiefs Broncos looks like some snow, could be an ugly game, and glad I'm going to start Minshew over Russell Wilson today as my QB2. And yeah, I like Minshew over Russ today. I am going to go over the weather real quick for you guys. Dallas Rams, they play indoors, so no worries there. Up in Green Bay, they're expecting a little bit of snow, about 38 degrees here. So that's going to be a cold kind of run the ball game. Maybe it's not so much of a hot passing day. They're calling for a slight chance of rain in Tennessee, Atlanta. That's not a big fantasy game, though, for us. Colts are indoors, so Colts Saints, no worries there. It looks beautiful in Miami. Miami's got 84 degrees, partly cloudy. They got maybe some 14-mile-per-hour winds, though, but you're starting your Miami players. It's calling for definite rain showers in the New York game today. So up in New Jersey, not really quite sure how hard the rain's going to be, but it's calling for definite rain showers. So I'm expecting Breece Hall to be quite busy in that one. Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, it's saying likely rain. Washington, Philadelphia, chance of rain. And then clear, 81 and clear in Carolina. Carolina might be a fun game today. The Texans and the Panthers have the best weather, it looks like, for an outdoor game. Seahawks are clear. And then, yeah, Broncos, Chiefs, it's the coldest game of the week. Slight chance of snow showers. That one could be a Pacheco game. I still think Mahomes, you're playing Mahomes. Not going to worry about that. And then Arizona, Baltimore looks good. They're in a dome. San Francisco looks perfect, 68 and clear out there. And yeah, the other two games, Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football, are dome games. Devonta, Pittman, or Deontay, full PPR. That's a tough one, Ryan. Wow. Devonta Smith, Pittman, or Deontay, and I can only choose one, huh? Man. So Devonta Smith played like the matchup in this one is really good for Devonta Smith. Pittman, not so much. The Saints do decently against wide receivers, and I think we've all kind of noted that, hey, they allow slot receivers to score points here. So I don't love the matchup for Pittman. The Saints do rank Saints rank 13th best, allowing about 31 PPR points per game, but Pittman did kind of complain for targets. The Jaguars, they're going to be covering Deontay Johnson. Not a terrible matchup. They do rank 23rd here, but I think I'm going to lean with Devonta Smith here. And Smith did play well. I'm going to pull that up and see what he did the last game. I think he went like 7 for 77 or something like that. If there's a week for Devonta Smith to get back on track, I think it's this week. And yeah, he did go 7 for 78, 9 targets back in week 4. The Commanders' defense really struggled. So if you're nervous about Smith, I would rank them as Smith, Deontay, Pittman, if that helps. I think Deontay is going to be a safe floor, but man, I think we might get that Devonta Smith game that we've been waiting for. Brian Robinson or Elijah Moore, full PPR. Yeah, that's a tough one, Harris. We're not super excited about Elijah Moore. We're not super excited about Brian Robinson either. Brian Robinson did score a touchdown in that game against the Eagles a month ago. So there might be a little something there. He's by no means a great play. I'm seeing him ranked pretty low. Like Brian Robinson is in the same tier as like Darrell Henderson, Deonta Foreman, Chuba Hubbard. So you're banking on a touchdown here. I think Elijah Moore is the safer play to get you 7 to 10 points. So I'm going to lean, because it's full PPR, I'm going to lean Elijah Moore here in a game where, we expect it to kind of be dink and dunk, short game, PJ Walker kind of stuff here. So I'm going to go Elijah Moore over B-Rob. Purdy over Goff. So I'm personally pretty excited about that game, San Francisco, Cincinnati. I think that could be a really, really fun game. I'm going to go Jared Goff, though. For some reason, the Lions are just different at home. On their own turf, they're getting a really bad Raiders team. The Bengals might provide some stability and some fight against the 49ers offense. And you also have CMC scoring touchdowns. He could score 1, 2, or 3 rushing touchdowns in this one. And with my thing with Jared Goff is when David Montgomery's not in, he's more likely to throw for touchdowns. When Montgomery is in, they're probably more likely to run for touchdowns. So I'm going to go Jared Goff here, take advantage of that Raiders matchup there, Ryan. Also, Higgins in the wide receiver question. Yeah, I think I'm still going to go with Devonta Smith there. Higgins is kind of along the Pittman line where I'm not quite sure what we're going to get. And honestly, I don't mind we want to see Higgins before we it's technically a tough matchup. We did just see the Vikings light this team up, but off a bye, I want to see Joe Burrow moving around and healthier. I want to see T. Higgins get more snaps and things like that. So we're going to go with Devonta Smith still. Morning, Dante. Stroud or Lawrence, Tua or Herbert? Interesting question. Okay, so with CJ Stroud, I do see him ranked as like a top 10, top 12 QB in a lot of places, but I think Trevor Lawrence in a game where I know he was coming in limited, but he should be healthier than he was last Thursday Night Football. So you're taking advantage, I think, of the Steelers defense here, which the Steelers defense, they rank 31st in points to the wide receiver. So it's a great matchup for Kirk. It's a great matchup for Calvin Ridley. The Steelers overall, they've allowed 8 passing touchdowns to the opponent defenses or quarterback. So I think I'm going to lean here with Trevor Lawrence. I like CJ Stroud, but I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence. I just trust him a little bit more, but they're both pretty safe plays today. And then Tua or Herbert, that one's a tougher one because I think I wish I knew if Josh Palmer was playing. I think he's going to play, but you got Eckler and Keenan Allen to rely on, whereas Tua, he does have a nice matchup today against the Patriots, but it's a divisional game. Those kind of just get weird sometimes. So I'm going to lean Herbert in that question there, Dante. So we'll go Herbert and Lawrence. Purdy or Jimmy G? Yeah, I'm going to go with Purdy in this one. I still think Purdy can do what we need him to do. Jimmy Garoppolo coming back off a back injury. There's still risk for re-injury with that. I'm going to go Purdy here, Harris. If a player I want gets traded, should I still try to trade for him? Yeah, I mean, you should always, keep the lines of conversation open. If you like a guy, and who knows if that guy doesn't have a good game today, maybe that player or the team owner's like, maybe I should rethink this and maybe get a different player, move him again. So I think you should still talk to that guy. Okay, this is a great question there, Chase. So last week, the last 2 weekends, really, they've been using Foreman as the primary first and second down runner. They would bring in Darrington Evans as the third down, kind of passing down back. So I'm honestly kind of expecting it to be very similar to what we've seen the last 2 games, where Foreman still is the lead ball carrier, 10 to 15 carries. It's Roschon's first game back from a concussion, so I don't think they're going to come out and just give him the ball a ton. But I do expect Roschon to be in there on passing down. So I think he's better. Roschon's better in PPR. Foreman is, your half PPR standard kind of play. And I think the Bears are going to end up scoring a touchdown. Maybe the second touchdown is the question. So if they get inside the 5, I expect it to be Foreman at the goal line. I don't know if they're going to let Roschon coming off concussion just bang it in there for a touchdown. So honestly, I think it's going to look a lot like what it has looked like. We're just swapping in Roschon for Evans. And honestly, I don't know if Roschon's a great play today because, with his first game being back, again, he's competing with Evans for this passing down role. So my confidence level is more with Foreman getting the carries, getting the potential touchdown than it is with Roschon coming out and getting a bunch of carries and all the third down work. I hope that helps. Sanders or Spears, full PPR. I'm going to lean with Miles Sanders here. I do like Tajay Spears, but we got Will Levis at quarterback today. I really don't know how great of a check down thrower he is. We don't expect a lot of points in that game either. But it's Sanders' first game back. I think he's going to be involved in the offense. I feel better about him reaching double-digit carries and a couple catches, which would be greater than Spears' role. So I'm going to go Sanders here, Chase. So that's a tough one there, Harris, because these guys are basically kind of the same player. As far as value in tiers right now. So with that being said, I think I'm picking up Chuba because I personally think Chuba is a better running back than Miles Sanders. With Roschon, we do have Khalil Herbert coming back, and now that Deonta Foreman's been playing well, this in 2 weeks this could be a 3-back committee again, and it could be really frustrating. So I see more clarity in Carolina. I think Chuba is still going to get some work in this game as the RB2. And if something happens to Sanders, it's all Chuba. We know that. Whereas Roschon's going to need a couple other things to break his way for it to all be his. Ryan, basically, when I was looking around on my DFS websites and things like that and building DraftKings lineups this morning, all of the experts love Tony Pollard today. So I think we're going to see Tony off a bye. Tony Pollard's fresh and spry. I think we're going to see a vintage Tony Pollard game, hopefully over 100 yards and a touchdown today. Still confident about Palmer. Only guy I have is Roschon, but I also have Dobbs, Pierce, or even McBride, half PPR RBs, full PPR receiver. Yeah, there really isn't much news on Josh Palmer. I think I'm going to hold out and hope he plays. You do have Roschon in that game here, so it's not that terrible of a swap. Who should be, he should be usable in a half PPR format for that running back here. So I think you still hold out for Palmer because it's a really good matchup for Palmer if he plays. So I'm going to stick with Palmer. They would only start next week. Oh, next week? Next week, you say? Let me look at the matchups for next week. So I'm just going to the schedule here. And I can't believe we're halfway through the fantasy regular season already, guys. The Bears are at New Orleans. Don't love that matchup for the Bears running game. Carolina, they're going to get Indianapolis, and it's in Carolina again. So I'm going to say Chuba is still the play, Harris. But I'm going to hit update on a couple things here and see if any new updates or blurbs come through for us. I am seeing Darren Waller officially active. He was considered a questionable tag coming in. Let me see what else we got here for fantasy news. Yeah, Jalen Ramsey's officially active. Packers tight end Luke Musgrave is officially active, which is good news. A couple offensive linemen ruled out. The Cowboys ruled out Tyron Smith. Giants ruled out Andrew Thomas. Dolphins cornerback Xavier Howard is out as well. And then cornerback Packers Jair Alexander is in. Brian Burns, edge rusher for the Panthers, is in. David says, for safe floor, JSN with banged up Lockett or Pittman. I'm going to go Pittman in that one. With JSN, DK is back. Lockett is back. I do think JSN's starting to get some good momentum going, but it's on paper, it's literally the toughest matchup against opponent wide receivers. So I'm going to lean Pittman here. He did kind of complain about the lack of targets last weekend. I expect him, even though it is a tough matchup against the Saints, but it's a much tougher matchup against the Browns. So I'm going to say Pittman is the move here, David. And hey, good morning to Charlene. Christian, good morning to Christian as well. Trusting Terry McLaurin today? I think so. I believe Terry had a nice game a few weeks back against these Eagles. And the Eagles defense is they're struggling to guard opponent wide receivers here. So if I look at what Terry McLaurin has done, let's see. Yeah, he went 8 for 86 in that game. He had 10 targets to lead the team. I think it's a good spot for Terry McLaurin. He's literally only had 2 games under double digits. So I'm still trusting Terry McLaurin today. Hopefully it's one of those games where it's back and forth and high scoring. Again, it went to overtime week 4 here. So I do trust Terry McLaurin today. And I kind of like the Commanders passing offense today. Again, leaning right into this, Jahan caught the game-tying touchdown to send it to overtime in week 4 here. You have Curtis Samuel kind of dinged up with a foot injury, so maybe he's not as involved offensively in the game plan today. So I do like Jahan Dotson. If he's out there in any of your 12-team leagues, he's worth picking up and seeing what happens, because we know he's good. He just really hasn't. It really just hasn't translated to targets and production yet. But hey, I'm open to it. Coming around here last weekend, he did see 5 for 43, 8 targets last weekend. So it was his second best fantasy game of the year. Now we're just looking for him to continue to stack success. So I feel good about Dotson rest of season, and I would like to hold him on my bench if I can. That's a pretty easy one, Christian. I'm going to play Kirk, McLaurin, Higgins. I'm playing all those guys over Palmer. So yeah, continue to leave those guys in your lineups. And yeah, Charlene, we covered that earlier today. Let's see here. Dallas is in a dome. Green Bay's got a little bit of snow potential coming in today. There's going to be some slight rain in Tennessee. There's going to be nothing. Miami looks beautiful, 84 degrees and mostly cloudy, but there's going to be definite rain showers in the New York game. Pittsburgh's got likely rain. Washington has a chance of rain, but I'm not too scared about the passing game in that one, because it's 72 degrees. It's kind of warm and nice weather there. Carolina, clear, 81 degrees and sunny. Seattle, 51 and clear, sunny. Denver's got the chance of snow, so that game's going to be really cold too. It's the coldest game of the week. And then San Francisco, clear. Yeah, you need to start Kirk for sure. And the thing with Christian Kirk too, the Steelers, man, they're struggling to defend wide receivers, and especially against slot receivers that can beat man coverage. That's kind of been their kryptonite. So Christian Kirk's a baller today. Downs or Dotson at flex, full PPR. I'm going to go with Josh Downs here. It's been kind of the squeaky wheel for Josh Downs this week, but Saints are they're allowing more slot receivers to score than outside receivers. So ride the hot hand, man. It's Josh Downs. So this one depends on the state of your running backs. If you needed a running back, it makes sense to grab Khalil Herbert. And if Dotson's your wide receiver 5 or 6, it's not as useful. And honestly, we really haven't seen it with Dotson. So I'm open to picking up Khalil Herbert if you want to stash him. I don't know if you can slide him to your IR and then pick somebody else up again, or keep Dotson that way. But I would probably need more context of the team, Harris. But I'm going to lean Khalil Herbert just because running back a little bit harder to get a starting running back. Do you have any of Gus, Javante, or Warren over Mixon? So they ruled out the rookie Chase today. So I think Mixon's going to be fine. The one that I might play over Mixon is Gus Edwards because we expect Baltimore to score touchdowns and be up and run the ball and things like that. So if I had to rank them, I'm not as excited about Javante in a tough matchup against arguably the best team in football. So I'm leaning Gus Edwards here. I think Javante is fine, but we're not going to think about Warren either. So I'm going to rank these guys as Mixon, Gus, Javante, Warren there, Christian. He's not on the injury report. He was able to practice all week. I think we're probably removing him from the RB1 discussion this weekend because the Titans, it's difficult to run on the Titans, but I think you still have to play Bijan Robinson if you have him. I think the NFL kind of scolded the Falcons for not putting him on the injury report Sunday morning last weekend. So I think Bijan's good to go. Again, tough matchup against the Titans, but I think he's going to be fine. I'm going to hit refresh on some of my feeds here and see if any other news has trickled in. I think today's going to be fun, guys. It's very rare to get it's week 8 and we get literally every team playing, no buys. It's kind of fun. So I'm personally excited for that. Let me see what else I can find. Packers getting some big players back today. Musgrave, Alexander, and their linebacker Devondre Campbell. Maybe that game is not what we expect. I think the Packers can put up a nice little fight today. The Zach Moss thing was interesting. He didn't really practice all week. He's going to play today, but I think this is probably the first game where we're going to see Jonathan Taylor really take the claim for the starting running back in the Colts system. So I think Jonathan Taylor is a player that we're probably going to. This might be your last opportunity to buy low if you can for the next hour. You can maybe buy low on Jonathan Taylor in a trade. Yeah, otherwise, guys, not a lot of news out there. I hope everyone has a great Sunday. Good luck to everybody here. If there's no more questions, I'm going to sneak out of here. Otherwise, yeah, I think for the most part, we got all the injury news. There really wasn't a lot. And yeah, we're waiting on Josh Palmer tonight. Otherwise, everything looks good here. So I'm going to get out of here, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Again, if you guys are new to the Fantasy Fellowship, we go live Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, and then, of course, Sunday morning here. So if you guys want to hang out with me, please continue doing so. And yeah, good luck today, guys. Hope you guys get all your points, get your W's, and we'll see you on the other side. Peace.